You're live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the CxO InsurTech Summit 2022. This is day two, and I'm back with another very interesting discussion. Now, we've been talking about, raising awareness for insurance, building the right narrative, data and analytics, the role of AI, and also careers in insurance. However, right now, we need to touch upon one of these disruptive technologies that now have entered Pakistan. And I'm talking about the pay-as-you-go model. Now, the model itself may not be new, but the implication of it in the insurance industry. Let's see what the experts have to say. Joining me today, my panel are Mr. Abdul Manan, who's the founding member and CIO at Baikia, and Mr. Ghazanfar Iqbal, who's the country head sales at Careem. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. And let me just begin with taking some comments from Mr. Abdul Manan. So the pay-as-you-go model in the context of insurance in Pakistan, what are the implications?
I mean, this is a very interesting model, Jay, particularly for the different geographies like Pakistan, India, yeah, any geography with the basically the income bracket is not as high as in some other countries, in the developed countries. You see, I mean, if you go back like 20 years back, you saw the space, you go model in some other industries. I mean, you started seeing these sachets of these expensive products in Pakistan. You started sachets of tea, sachets of you started seeing sachets of these shampoos when people were not able to basically afford the complete bottle of shampoo. These companies started offering these sachets and they become very popular among the people. So I think basically the model exists already. Model is tested, trials work for countries like us. And why not insurance? I mean, I'm pretty confident it's gonna basically change things for us, because people who can't afford to buy the whole premium for the whole year, the people who can't buy premium for whole month, I would say. And even, I mean, this can allow people to buy a premium for like even up to a day, or maybe even like less than a day, maybe as well. So again, this is an interesting model, and I think this suits to the countries like Pakistan very, very well.
Right, absolutely. And Mr. Ghazanfar, do you perhaps have a different approach? Like, where does the gap seem? I acknowledge the fact that Mr. Abdul Manan brought forward a very important point about are we touching base with those consumers who can't afford to pay annual insurance premiums or even quarterly or semi-annual payments. But where did you see the opportunity and what are the implications?
I mean, it's a good question. In terms of the gaps, I still feel there are a lot of gaps. I think the only industry that has broken the barrier so far is telecom industry. There are certain insurtech platforms that are working with the telco industry and doing different sort of partnerships in terms of reaching out to the masses. But when it comes to the startup ecosystem or different mature industries, I still feel that we are not reaching the end user, and we need to integrate this particular point that Manan also raised, that there are socio-economic challenges in Pakistan, and yes, everybody cannot register themselves to a subscription model per se. So, and also I think pay-as-you-go model is better utilization of your resources. So you only utilize the chunk that you are consuming. So in that sense, when we look at the inflation, when we look at our current economic challenges, and when we look at the high prices everywhere, especially on the fuel side, I think more and more companies need to come forward in terms of utilizing this model within their platforms. And technology startups and technology companies like Baikia, like ours, I think we have the resources and we have the user base as well, where we can actually partner, not just create the product on our end, but actually partner with third parties and create that integration and partnership to provide to the masses. But to answer your question, I still see a lot of gaps, and only telco has so far been able to hack it.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Abdul Manan, one of the advantages that one can see for the pay-as-you-go model is definitely for those smaller companies or startups or perhaps, these SME sectors where, initially when you talk about payrolls or when you talk about providing benefits to workers, especially those on a daily basis, that's a very big missed opportunity for insurance. A lot of providers in Pakistan are not catering to that market. Do you think the pay-as-you-go model can be a good use case in that scenario? Sir, mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is an amazing model for these people, particularly like you mentioned, the gig workers. So for example, I'm using a bike to, make some money for like, my home and my family. I mean, month one, I can afford to basically spare some money to buy insurance. Month two, I can't. So I mean, this is an opportunity for me to basically, okay, I can skip even a month. I mean, after a month, I can even skip a week. I mean, it can be as narrow as for a day's insurance. I mean, so assume somebody goes to work for a day, and the guy is basically driving his bike or maybe car for basically making some money, and she can buy the insurance for that particular day. So this is going to be an amazing model because the problem is, I mean, there's pretty much no barrier to entry. You're not doing anything. There's literally no commitment, and the best use of the basically of your basically expenditure as well, like something I've said, basically you're just basically utilizing what you're paying for. And to the contrary, the subscription model, I mean, does not suit to at least all these gig workers in Pakistan, I think, if not more, at least we have like 250,000 gig workers like working for like food industry, for mobility industry, and for delivery industry as well. So I mean, at least 250,000 to slightly, I would say slightly more than that, people like, it's a big opportunity only in the 3 cities in Pakistan, who can literally utilize this insurance for any particular day when they're like, on the job. I mean, look at the floods. There were like so many floods in Pakistan a couple of weeks back. So people can buy the insurance for the particular days, maybe a week or so. So again, amazing opportunity for these guys.
Right. But one of the things that comes to mind, Mr. Zanfar Iqbal, is the fact that, with such opportunities, if you're paying for the pay-as-you-go model, will it give you the kind of coverage that an annual plan can give you? Or perhaps, what is the risk? How is the risk analysis done? And what will be the advantages of still opting for a pay-as-you-go model if, you have these other conventional products that are now even built into the banking system?
Yeah, I mean, so pay-as-you-go model, I think there are some advantages to it, and then there are some disadvantages to it as well. But if I talk about on the advantage side, I think it's a smaller barrier to entry, so it's easy to test out your product, right? I mean, you are not sure whether the customers are going to continue using your product, so you can test it out with a pay-as-you-go model. There are certain services in the market that do well with the subscription model. Let's say, you have a subscription for Netflix, right? You don't go with a pay-as-you-go model that you're going to watch a certain documentary or a movie or an episode and you pay accordingly. You pay a fee, and for the whole month, you can consume as much as content you want, which makes sense for that particular platform. But for a certain platform, let's say on the telco side, I mean, they have both. They have the prepaid model in place and they have the postpaid model in place. But there is a weakness to pay as you go model as well, because the customer is not recurring. If your product is not strong enough, probably that customer is going to churn. They are going to use another platform because you have not locked them on a monthly subscription or an biannual or annual subscription in that sense.
Or even a price lock for that matter.
Yes, exactly. But again, like I said, I mean, there are advantages and there are disadvantages. But what you can do is what a lot of companies do. They do this A/B testing where they have two pages to their website for a single product, and on one side they are testing the subscription model, and on the other side they are testing the pay-as-you-go model. And then they gather these data points in terms of what is the cost, what is the analysis, how much often these customers are using which particular service, and then they can go on and choose a one. So it all depends upon the nature. Then the second part of your question was that if you go for a subscription model, there are more benefits to it as compared to a pay-as-you-go model. So I think I would not completely agree with that as well. Again, it comes to what is your offering. So like Manan mentioned that the floods were there in the past. So monsoon season happens and it's really devastating for the South region. So I know that next year, let's say in July or August, there is going to be monsoon, right? And that in those particular months, probably my roof is going to leak as well. So I need a particular insurance in those months that can save me from, getting into a bigger accident, God forbid. So in that sense, probably pay-as-you-go model makes sense to me for those 2 months. But if I go for an annual subscription, it doesn't. So again, what it entails to is what is your customer base, what are their requirements, and how you can cater to those requirements. So if you are looking for something which has a single purpose advantage for a customer, then you go for a pay-as-you-go model. But if you want plethora of services, a full-on package, then probably you would be looking for a subscription model. And lastly, I think pay-as-you-go model can actually help you in bringing customer on the platform and then transitioning that customer to a postpaid model or a subscription model per se as well, because they are going to experiment your services. They're going to see, okay, this is a quality product. What else can I use? What else the features are there for me to look into? And then probably from that consumption, you can transfer them to the more, high revenue model.
Right. Because Infosab, just building up on that, one use case where I've seen it abroad as well, is in the motorways and highways, right? Whenever you cross a toll, you get a pop-up or the option to buy insurance for that particular journey. And that makes sense because I think more and more people will be more susceptible to subscribing for a pay-as-you-go model, right? Only get insurance for that particular journey. I would like to hear your comments on it, and if there are any more use cases that are similar.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will talk about our platform, right? We provide in-ride insurance to our customers, right? So whenever they are taking the ride, we are providing them the insurance. So this is basically a pay-as-you-go model, right? This is not like that I have taken a monthly insurance subscription from Kareem, and if I take one ride or 100 rides, I will have that insurance, because that doesn't make sense for us, right? The sense is for the customer, and as well as for the company, is on the utilization basis. So whenever there is a ride, whenever you are on the road, there is a risk, right? Even 10% of that or 5% of that, but there is a risk. So for catering to mitigating that risk, we are going to provide you with in-ride insurance. So this is basically pay-as-you-go model as well. And in terms of our pricing as well, I mean, if I talk about some other ride-hailing companies, so they have a fixed price. So if, let's say, you are stuck in the traffic, you are paying a fixed price as a customer, but is it helping the captain? Is it helping the driver in that sense? Because in traffic, if you are stranded, you are still burning fuel. There's still maintenance cost. So we have a waiting price in place as well. It's a dynamic price where we charge you a certain amount on the waiting as well. Again, it comes down to pay-as-you-go model. So it makes sense for the driver as well, because we have to look at not just the customer, but the captain end as well, for both of them to earn in that sense. So for us, I see these two examples are working flawlessly, and they make perfect sense as well. We had packages in the past as well, which was a subscription model. It worked for some people, didn't work for others, because for them, I think it didn't work because you are not a heavy user. You're not using it frequently. So again, it all boils down to what is your usage as a customer, and how the company can understand that and give you a hook in terms of which approach to take with you.
Right. Mr. Abdul Manan, I'd like to hear your thoughts and if there's a different perspective that you people are taking at Bikeya.
So I agree to Guzanfar Saab. See, this is all the ride hailing, all these basically timely use cases are based on the pay-as-you-go model. However, basically one thing that Bikeya does is, for our drivers at least, we give them a daily insurance, kind of pay-as-you-go model, but basically it's not for per ride basis, it's for the whole day. Because if I want to opt in for a day's insurance, no matter how many transactions I do on the platform, I basically qualify for the insurance. However, on the customer side, we are no different to what Kareem does, is like offer the customers insurance as a pay-as-you-go model, purely pay-as-you-go model, like, the insurance is only for the particular ride. However, basically, again, it depends. It depends on the product. Again, if you're creating a value, to be honest, for the customers, if you're creating a value, your product is gonna get acceptance. It all boils down to how strong the product is, how strong the value created by the product is. Because generally, sometimes sometimes like the use cases, like people don't adopt use cases. The only problem is there's not enough value in those uses. Zanfar very rightly touched on these telcos. These is doing a real use of these pay-as-you-go model where people can nowadays, like you can top up to 50 rupees, but it used to be like literally 20 rupees for the smaller denominations. People were allowed to top up at 20 rupees to make an emergency call for the particular use case. Yeah. And again, to be honest, this suits very much to countries like us, where people sometimes just need something for a use case, and like you said, on the motorways. So everyone does not travel every single day. Somebody travels once a week. Somebody travels once in a quarter on a motorway. So why would they buy for an insurance for the whole year? It doesn't make any sense for these guys. So yeah, absolutely, this is important, and this is gonna work for us.
Right. Sir, I would like for you to also shed light on another use case that came to mind earlier. Was the fact that we have a lot of people that are traveling not just by airplane, right? We have the concept is, with international flights and international travel, you do have the pay-as-you-go insurance model before entering a new country. But what about any domestic routes? Do we see any implications there? Do we see it within the rail network, perhaps traveling by bus? What about cargo?
Yeah, I think that can also be a real use case. On domestic routes, at least for airlines, if you go all these, if you go to basically book any domestic airline, I'm sure they can offer you an insurance if the airline does not offer the insurance on their website. And there's so many websites in Pakistan that basically Karachi or Karachi, Islamabad, and then they'll offer you an insurance. That's again a pay-as-you-go model. See, the use case is unlimited. It can like you mentioned, it can be in a bus travel, it can be on a airplane travel, it can be on any use case. It can also
cargo and freight hauling as well, for that matter. What about goods and services? Especially, I know of a lot of trucks and the logistics industry that, because of the rains, and the flooding that happened in interior Sindh have, had a lot of damaged goods and late deliveries, etc. So,
see, couriers are also offering these services for like so many years. If you courier from Karachi to Islamabad, I mean, you'll see a checkbox like, do you want to insure this product, this basically delivery? So the insurance model exists there for like ages, to be honest. To your point of cargo, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's not limited to basically on these services. It can be on any service, even in the domestic basically delivery. So, for example, these MNCs delivering they basically goods to the Kirana stores. They can also be insured, because cities like Karachi, you can have any problem basically from moving point to B. It can be anything. So, I mean, it's unlimited that. I think this can be applied to anything, whatever the use case we have. It's the small use case, the big use case. I mean, we can have an insurance component added to that, and even basically, even the cash movement from point A to point B, the cash movement between these banks is also insured. I mean, again, that's all.
That definitely. Now, moving on, Ghazanfar sir, two main points that come in to mind when we're talking about pay-as-you-go model, because obviously a large component of the infrastructure is InsurTech, so leveraging the tech side to it. However, one of the biggest concerns is that, let's say, take the example of the motorways, for example, you want to be able to provide this service. One, we keep talking about the digital inequality and the digital divide. How are we going to enable the masses more effectively, who probably are not even connected, let's say, in like some remote villages? How are we going to penetrate that segment of the market? And number two, there's this narrative that's built around insurance. It has been around for decades now, and that's the religious context. And it's something that is very much prevalent in Pakistan. People think it's un-Islamic, most insurance products. So do you think with the advent of the pay-as-you-go model, we can somehow soften the image or perhaps fix the PR problem?
Another insightful question. I mean, the second part is too hard. I don't know how I'm going to answer it, but I'll start with the first one. So in terms of reaching out to the masses, in terms of, finding the right segment, regardless of whether the example that you shared of the travel insurance or anything else, I think two of the platforms that have done marvelously well in terms of reaching out to larger audience are EasyPaisa and JazzCash. So, I mean, you will not see banks, you will not see even the startups and larger organizations, in small villages and small towns, but you will always hear about EasyPaisa and JazzCash. Because I have worked in Telenor, I was part of the retail team. I went on the ground. I launched this product with the team, so I know how much penetration it has.
Yeah.
And now, if you see that in terms of the toll taxes, especially for the motorway, they have centralized it. I mean, there's just one
Absolutely.
pass, and you can actually purchase that. You can actually fill in your credit through the EasyPaisa and JazzCash app.
Yeah.
Now, all these platforms have to do is integrate that with third-party insurance companies or startups, for that matter. And voila, you have your people, you have your customers, you have your platform, you have your tech. It's all just connecting the dots. Whenever they feel like it, or whenever there is a need for it, absolutely there is a need for it, but depends upon what their strategy holds. So it's easy to do as compared to, let's say, if this question was asked to me 5 or 10 years ago, then probably digital adoption, probably no COVID, and people have no awareness of the digital platforms, that would have been a real challenge. But now, after COVID, the adoption has been enormous, and now everybody is on the platform, and especially these EasyPaisa and JazzCash. I mean, they have done extremely well in most of cases, and they have a lot of partnerships. In terms of the religious aspect, I think awareness is necessary, what exactly the product entails and what benefits it brings, and probably from some clerics, you get some statements in regards to whether this is a proper use case that we can use through our religious doctrine, or is it something entirely else? So, I mean, the product has changed a bit in terms of, adding in takafful, and there are a lot of people that accept that product rather than the conventional insurance product.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there is a opportunity, there is a potential. If this is not working out, you already have another product that is doing good as well. So you have both options, regardless of whatever your beliefs are. So you can always opt for the takafful one if the other one is problematic. But I think the key is still that insurance in Pakistan, people are not aware of it. People feel like that this is something that they are paying, something extra that they are paying for. I don't need it. Why do I need life insurance, right? I rely on something entirely else. I have land, or I have assets, or whatever. I mean, everybody has different angle to it. But if you go abroad, this is one of the mandatories that even the companies ask you to have. When you travel, you need to have insurance. When you do a job, you need to have a certain insurance. I mean, there are so many use cases to it. So I think that regulations come down from the government, where you create these partnerships with these insurance companies. You create these awareness sessions like the one you guys are doing. I hope this will turn out great and create a unique value prop for the InsurTech as well. So, I mean, if we start talking about it, obviously there will be gaps and challenges that we can address, and slowly and gradually we are going to evolve. But I think we are already on that road where there is no stopping. I just feel like there are bridges to be built, but the platforms are everywhere.
Absolutely. Agreed. Mr. Abdul Manan, in the interest of time, I'm going to ask you to sum up today's conversation with some of your policy recommendations. Mr. Ghazanfar Iqbal made some very valid points today, and as have you. But if you could, perhaps give some of your policy recommendations.
Anza, I think it's not only policy, to be honest. It's again, it again depends on people's will. See, if you start creating policies, but people don't accept those policies, it's not going to work. I think the more important for us is to show the value created by the insurance for the people. So, for example, one option is we can share the examples where, it has helped people versus the people who faced problems when they were without insurance. So, I mean, look around your friends and family circles, you'll figure out so many examples. I know a friend of mine who got stuck in Europe, and he had an accident, and the insurance saved him. I think these examples should basically be brought in to help people understand, because just policy is not gonna help. I mean, no matter how many laws you make, if people are not willing to accept those laws, they're kind of useless for us, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So important is to help people understand, create the value in people's mind, and help them understand, okay, look, this has worked for this person in this way, and if you do this is going to help you as well. And then I hope that is going to basically help. There's one more option is, so for example, the way India has, I think India, Bangladesh, one of the two countries, I don't remember exactly the name of the country, is baked in the price of the insurance in basically the when the government was providing the urea to the basically farmers.
Yes.
As another basically example of promoting the insurance in the countries. I mean, this is something that the government can do, or maybe the policymakers can look into this to do. This is again a possibility where you can bake in the price of insurance in these products, and then basically help people. And when people start seeing the benefits, when people start seeing the advantages, they'll hopefully start using these products.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdul Manan. Mr. Ghazanfar, any closing remark? Quick one. We have a minute.
Yeah, sorry. I think I must have taken a lot of time. But yeah, to resonate with what Manan said, I think mindset is important as well. But I feel regulations and mindset both. If the government is not creating a space, a market, an environment then obviously it's not going to help. So yes, the mindset of the people needs to be changed, but the regulations come into play as well because they are super important as well. And both of them are going to help us. Technology is there, platforms are there. It's just the will of the people and the right people in the right places that need to come forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and a very insightful discussion. Thank you for being a part of the InsurTech Summit 2022.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. There's another Power Pack session coming up.